UIC.
Freedom the people of
Hell yeah.
freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah,
Yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road, me say yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road. Ready for broke every chain. That when you free up the people, levitate. Jamaica member, you ever great. I feel burn up the fire upon every snake. Me give thanks in every way. God still a look down once see we safe. I see run the road long time. GLP and PMP I sell we out. Till I do the test even though we know the end result. If them coulda kill with them catch we and hang we know. No force no coercion, me freedom in a step. No one fi rob we and kill we and feel them and go make it out. You know see the leeches, you know see the hands of the devil when sleep with. You know see the leeches, you know see the hands of the devil when sleep with. Yeah, real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road, me say yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road. Yeah, me drop the braffin now, and then I laughing now. What them talking about? Everything cement and we not talking growth. Jamaican intellectuals are marching now. Them couldn't get the last laugh, no them laughing loud. We don't need the small talk when we talking, bro. We don't need them 5 grand, we need to part them now. Long time GLP and PMP I sell we out. Till I do the test even though we know the end result. If them coulda kill with them catch we and hang we know. No force no coercion, me freedom in a step. No one fi rob we and kill we and feel them and go make it out.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody. My name is Donovan Moore, and I'm currently serving as the Vice President for the County of Middlesex in the United Independent Congress. It's my pleasure to be here with you this evening for us important matters related to the future of Jamaica. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are here, it means that you take Jamaica and its progress seriously for yourself and for your children and for your family. I too take it very seriously, and that's why I've chosen to serve in the UIC. Today we'll have a presentation from myself, followed by a panel discussion. It is pre-recorded because this was supposed to be presented on Tuesday. But nonetheless, we're happy to be here today. I just want to introduce, before they even appear, members of my discussion panel this evening. First on my list is Miss Sayuda Grant, member of the UIC. We also have Mr. and Mrs. Babatunde, who are going to join us from the, I think it's a Papi division. He is the councillor candidate for the UIC in that area. We also have Mr. Chase Neal, the General Secretary of the UIC, and also serving on our panel that you'll interact with later today is Mr. Ken Solomon. And we also hope to have Mrs. Daniel Burke, my VP colleague in the county of Surrey. So today we have a very interesting discussion to have. I really hope you enjoy the presentation, and I gather that we have some early persons. I notice here Mr. Keith Campbell is saying my voice is not clear. Do I need to amplify my voice, Sir Campbell? Is that better? If you're hearing me clearly, please type yes. If not, please indicate no. I hope you're hearing me better now. Probably my voice needs to be more projected, right? Please confirm and tell me if everyone is hearing me loud and clear. Yes, I'm getting on. Oh, how rude of me to forget in the background as well my technical operator, the beautiful Miss Naika Williams. Miss Nika Williams is the treasurer for the UIC, and she has been doing an excellent job. Let me check. Yes, I get a yes here, that my voice is coming over clearly. Um, thank you, my early guest, coming in. I want you to join us later. Good evening, Douglas Harper. Douglas Harper is our content manager from the UIC. I see that he has joined to support us in this presentation, and to be followed by a discussion later. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for coming. Please sit back, enjoy the presentation, but please also listen attentively, because these are serious matters, as I call all of us as Jamaicans here locally and in the diaspora to awake. It is time that we awake, my brothers and sisters. Thank you. My fellow Jamaicans, both locally on the island and internationally in the diaspora, I want to welcome us all to another program to be featured on our Liberty TV, where we discuss vital issues to the progress of this country. Today, our program comes to us under the theme caption entitled Solemnly, Jamaicans, it is time for us to awake. Firstly, I'll bring us through what we believe in, the essence of what defines us as members and participants and supporters and donors of the United Independence Congress. These will be shared by virtue of our vision, mission. We look at our values, our key objectives, and help us to define why the UIC exists. Following that, I will define how the UIC, as the future government of Jamaica, intends to transform this country in a place where people can feel much more comfortable in fulfilling our life goals, our dreams, and our desires, and fulfill our aspirations as being the great Jamaican people that we actually are. So I'll share with you the 10-point plans. We'll unravel it. We'll establish understanding and consensus, hopefully. But at the end of the presentation, and at the end of the panel discussion, and at the end of the question and answers, which will provide further edified understanding, you will be asked to make a decision. The decision that you'll make is one that you'll make for yourself, for your family, and indeed for the entire Jamaica. Please stay with us as we continue. Before we highlight the vision of the UIC, let us take some time to offer clarity on what a vision really is. So the vision of a person, a business, an organization, an entity, or a nation is a futuristic view of where that entity or person or country wants to be at some point moving forward from the present into the future. In the case of a country like Jamaica, our country, it's a visualized aspiration of where we would like to be, say 5, 10, 15, 50, 100. And interestingly, in the Far Eastern nations such as China, they have long-time plan horizons over 200 years, in some cases 500 years. I think we also need to adopt a long-term view of where we want to be. Now, let us say you're a young lady or a young man in your 30s or below, and you may have children or you may hope to have children. Think about the kind of Jamaica that you will influence so that your children, your grandchildren, and your great-grandchildren will look back and say, grandma or great-grandfather was the one that assisted in setting a certain foundation for me to live in a better Jamaica than the one that he lived in or she lived in. That's the kind of mindset we need to develop, my brothers and sisters, my fellow Jamaicans. But let us go to the UIC's vision. The UIC's vision is to create a Jamaica that brings out the best in all Jamaicans, that brings out the best in all its people. How beautiful and profound and simple is this vision? And that's how a vision should be written. It should be very concise, right? Now, this vision, stated as it is, may mean similar things, but possibly different things for each of us, right? But it's important that we understand that we all need to connect with a meaningful vision in order to move together as Jamaicans. You want Jamaica as a country to move forward, we have to rally around an idea. Nothing is wrong with idea. It's necessary to be pragmatic, but it is good to have ideas, because it's out of ideas and concepts and innovation and dreams that great things emerge. Trust me on that. I can tell you, and I know a lot of us understand that too, even if we wouldn't state it like that, right? But you know what I want us to do? As a set of people, you know, we are on this chat. Why don't you just, if you like, type a one sentence that describes your interpretation, your understanding of what a Jamaica, look into the future now. Jamaica is prosperous. Jamaica is technologically advanced. Jamaican children are being well educated. Poverty and corruption and criminality is being eradicated from our nation. And our nation is rising to heights of prominence like an eagle. Think about that, Jamaica, my friends, and just type in the chat your view of Jamaica at that point. Perhaps later down at the question and answer session, we'll take some time to review some of your answers and possibly discuss with you. Having described the vision, we now venture into looking at the UIC's mission statement. Now, let me also explain what a mission statement is. Whereas the vision shows us a view of the future, how the organization or country is intended or desired to look at some point in the future, the mission defines for us the path, the method, the how we intend to get to that desired place, right? So let us review the mission of the UIC. Our mission is to create a non-partisan constitutional republic of Jamaica that respects, and I emphasize the word respects, the sovereignty of everyone by protecting the rights to their life, liberty, and property equally. And that word equally is important. Let me tell you why. Whether it be Issa, Mahfoud, or Andrew, they have or should not have any more right than Donovan Moore. And I repeat it for emphasis. Whoever it is, it does not matter. As far as us as Jamaicans are concerned, those persons should have no further rights than the ordinary citizen of Jamaica. Now, some of us, under a certain mental stupor, may want to think otherwise, but I put it to you that such is the case. They should have no further rights than any of us. And let me continue to describe how the mission will do this. It will be done by creating a safe, clean, and orderly free market society where all may live, earn, and retire with dignity. It is important that we understand that we need to retain our respect and dignity, and we need to have a government that guarantees, assures that. But let me go back to the start of the mission statement. We have a phrase, a non-partisan constitutional republic, and I want to break it down a little bit further for us. Now, non-partisan means that which is not biased or politically leaning to one side, especially to a particular political group. So we want to establish a system of government that is non-partisan. It doesn't mean that that government may not exist, perhaps as a coalition or perhaps as a dominant party. What it means is that there's no system of bias that says the people are not free to elect or select, as the case may be, those who they may want to serve who are not necessarily a part of the given political party that has gotten the most votes at any time. You will realize when you rise to the level of consciousness to make that decision, my fellow Jamaicans, that such a system is far more liberating, and it breaks the back of the corruption and the vices that exist and the divisive nature that prevents us from progressing as much as we should. So we want a constitutional republic. What does that mean? The Constitution is the supreme law of the land. All other laws should be subjected to the principle of your Constitution. The question is, if the nation, if the government is able to impose laws that are infringing on people's rights, what does it say about the quality of your current constitution that you have? Think critically. What does it say about it? If your rights can be trampled on now, what does it say about the power of your constitution? Let us look at the word republic. Republic means for the people. So a constitutional republic is a system of government that, if implemented properly, should reserve and preserve the people as the highest reference for why that government exists. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, as sovereign citizens, you and I will take that place that gives the government to be the authority to exist. Imagine that. Imagine a Jamaica, ladies and gentlemen, in which you are a sovereign individual citizen of your own country. I hope that we understand how liberating, how life-changing such visions and missions can be. Let us continue. The UIC value or values can be predicated as being built on the foundations of personal liberty and personal responsibility. So there's a connection, an intertwined interconnectivity, synthesis, if you like, between individual liberty and personal responsibility. And let us use an example to demonstrate that this intertwine of the two extremities are important. So you have rights and liberties, right? But not to the extent where it should enable you to infringe and to abuse my rights and liberties. So, for example, the way that we use the roads, we should use the roads in a way that we give respect to other road users, whether they be pedestrian, cyclists, or drivers operating motor vehicles of whatever kind. This is how we live in a condition of reciprocity, where we learn to recognize and respect each other, knowing that we all have rights
and knowing that the rights of others ought to be respected. Let me share with you the reality. One of the reasons, and I'll state it this way: think of a country in the global space that is considered great, not by, let me even extend to say, not by those who in history robbed and plundered to become great. Just think about a country that was not involved in that historical robbing and abuse of people through slavery. For example, Singapore, good example. Think about Nigeria with all its struggles. Why are Nigerians so bright? Because they are disciplined towards education. So why are the Singaporeans so productive? Because they are disciplined towards work. Why we as Jamaicans struggle with certain issues socially and economically? Because we have poor leadership politically, and also because as a people we need to be more disciplined. So here we are proposing a solution. We think comprehensively of the issues, and we are saying that yes, we want to impart to people their individual liberties that they are entitled to. The only caveat, and the only justifiable caveat for that, is that they should act in ways and behave in manner that respect the individual rights and sovereignty of others as well. My fellow Jamaicans, both locally on the island. So someone may logically ask the question, all of that lofty goals and aspirations that you have just described and articulated with clarity, tell us now, how do you intend to have those achieved? The solution to the issues that we face will be actualized through the implementation of the UIC's 10 points plan. Not 10 promises, not 10 wishes, solid, rock solid 10 points plan. The first one on the list focuses on our youth. It is coined Youth Empowerment Service with the acronym YES. And the purpose of this program going forward is to ensure that every youth, every young person that graduates or leaves the second level unemployed and they have not managed to matriculate to the tertiary level, whether college or university, we will ensure that a protective net is created for them where they are engaged in gainful employment so that they can learn valuable life skills and so that they can progress. We want to eliminate this condition of man pan corner, idling and wasting time. We want to instead have a situation where we have men engaged productively at work. And let me say this, there are some time wasters and criminals who will find it uncomfortable to exist in the new Jamaica. And we implore you, because we want to be inclusive, that you change your ways, because it will not remain as you expect it. We will root out corruption at the top, and we will root out slackness and criminality from our nation. The next point is that, and it's commensurate or connected to the point that's previously made, the second item on the plan is to create a modern police and military service. Police officers and military officers deserve to be respected. Let me make that clear. In fact, they ought to be respected firstly because they were citizens first, and I would like to remind some of them that needs to be reminded of this. The Jamaican people are tired of being abused by agencies of the state. These services do not exist to trample and to crush and to abuse the Jamaican people. However, the police and the soldiers deserve to be respected. And how will we show respect? We propose far better standards of salary and benefits package. And as I say that, I know what is going to happen. I'm going to make a prediction. As it draws closer to that time when we'll have election, the knee-jerk reaction of some of the powers that be will be to respond in a way to give you some little pittance, to make you feel good. But I know that we are intelligent persons, and I'm calling all Jamaicans, including our law officers, to rise their thinking and to realize that for too long we have been accepting less than we deserve. Consequently, I say to us, when it is time, even now, consider supporting the UIC in our thrust to make life better for all of us in Jamaica. Let me move on to the third point. The third point, again, focus on every child. And every child has a right to proper nutrition, proper education, and excellent health care. The government of the UIC will ensure that these benefits are provided to every child. We think about it. We talk about the officers, police officers and soldiers deserving good pay. Interestingly, we know, those of us that study in the educational arena, know that the Finland model is superbly most excellent on a global scale. Now think about it, ladies and gentlemen. Would you be mad to attempt to take up the Finland model or any aspect of it and impose it en bloc on a nation like Jamaica, in which teachers are disrespected by both the government, parents, and even students? Hell no. You need a holistic approach to provide a solution to the less than standard, what we call education in Jamaica. Let me tell you what we provide, because as a trained postgraduate educational system that follows from the colonial days, where is one sort of education for those who are privileged and another sort of watered down education for those who don't fall in that category. This will have to stop. This cannot continue. Our children and their future is too valuable for us to continue with that foolishness. So I want to encourage members of the Jamaica Teachers Association, the JTA, when you're thinking of voting, vote UIC for the better management of an educational system that will put you, one of the major stakeholders, at the center of that system. It will value you and will create conditions for your value to be improved in the eyes of the society. Teachers are too disrespected in this nation, and it needs to change. I'd like to encourage members of the Jamaica Medical Doctors Association to think that you do not have to hustle or transition to where you have to build an office for yourself or a practice. Doctors need to be paid well. Also, members of the Nurses Association of Jamaica. Some time ago, one uncouth politician was reputed to have said that any old Jane, in a manner of speaking, could become a nurse. I know, and I am close to those who are nurses, and I can tell you that such is a fallacy. In fact, the level of studies that you are to do, I put it to you that some of those politicians fail if they attempt in first or second year of that nursing program, either in NC or the University of the West Indies, and I'm not going to apologize for it. We divest all crown lands and make every Jamaican a landowner, I put it to the existing powers that be. If they really care about the Jamaican people, beat the UIC to that and do it. Prove to us that you care about the Jamaican people. But don't worry. If you fail to do, which we can predict you will, the UIC, when we become the elected government of Jamaica, this is definitely one that we will change. And I'll put an asterisk beside it right now on this very day called Tuesday. I present. We shall ensure that that is changed. Let me move on to the matter of toll roads. I was carrying my sister, Dr. Janice Stewart, to the airport recently. And because she resides and works on the southern side in the beautiful community of Mandeville, I was pleased to meet many of the persons from Mandeville a few weeks ago. She marveled at the overpass road network that was built. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, that's nothing to marvel about. What we see there should have been replicated right across Jamaica 10 times at least. But they have been sitting on their lethargic brains. And what we have passing off as leadership is not quality leadership. It is not excellence. It is not what we deserve in Jamaica. We deserve better. So we will be ensuring that this toll road thing that is robbing our pockets, those of us at least who can afford to use it, we'll change that. We'll build a proper road network in all towns and communities. This is what we shall do again. And let me ask the question, what about, when I talk about railway system, modern railway, what kind of railway? From the 19th century? So what about magnetic levitation? What about the train? The train system that runs on the track without touching the track? Is it that we're so backward? Is it that our leaders are so dunce that we cannot innovate to that level? Or is it that the resources have been wasted so we don't have any money for that level of innovation? But we in the UIC will ensure that we not only have good road system, but good railway system, modern 21st century railway system and ferry systems to ensure that Jamaicans can travel in comfort and dignity as they deserve. We will also, number 6, make food, water, and energy sources the central part of our economy. So we talk about tourism. Ask yourself, as good as it is performing, what percentage of that tourism dollar is retained in Jamaica? See, Jamaican people, I'm going to say something respectfully for us. We need to go a little bit deeper. We need to think a little bit deeper. We need to embrace knowledge. And those young people who are talking about this attitude of fully dunce, stop the foolishness. Get with yourself. Because it's fully dunce thing and some things that you gravitate towards will not help you. And you will suffer for it unless you decide to change in the future. So water harvesting. Let me put to you another fact. There's no real water shortage in Jamaica, even when it appears so. It's as a result of the ineptitude and the short-sightedness, the myopia of our leaders, why everybody don't have tap water running in their houses. So for example, you live on the southern plain, whether it be St. Elizabeth or Mandeville, and you have water shortage. Let me remind you, there's no water shortage in Jamaica. I tell you something, we can harvest water and export it, like how some nations export oil. So until we discover oil in Jamaica, water can be our oil. That's what I'm putting it to you. And I challenge them to implement such a system. Since they are bright and they are capable and they are technocrats, go ahead. That is your assignment from a citizen of Jamaica. Go ahead and try and implement that. But in addition to water harvesting, what about energy systems? So there's a concept. Let me teach you and show you as an engineer. It is called distributed generation. Simple system where you have small power sources interconnected into the grid. So we running down and talking about oil prices and so on. What kind of innovation on a grand scale, on a macro scale, has the government implemented to let us use natural sources of energy and harness them and convert them into sources of energies that we need? Ask yourself that question, ladies and gentlemen. When you think, and this election, anytime they want to call it, it don't matter. It's going to be a different one. Why? Because the UIC will raise the level of consciousness of the Jamaican people to get us to think at a certain level. I hope and I am confident that this election will be held on the basis of people thinking and reasoning seriously about their future. So we have alternate energy that we can explore. We have water harvesting that we can explore. What about organic food production? Jamaica, I put it to us, ladies and gentlemen, can become the global capital energy food production, but not necessarily with the lack of willpower of the governments that you have suffered from over the years. Let me give you some facts. The global organic food and beverages industry was valued at 188.35 billion US dollars in 2021. What percentage of that did Jamaica enjoy? Answer me that question, no? You want to bright people and do the economics and all these agencies in government that are being paid good money. What percentage did Jamaica benefit from that? In 2022, by the end of 2022, that figure is expected to grow to 208.19 billion US dollars. Now you see, sometimes when they're in parliament, because our people are not so aware, they tend to use big words and some fanciful statements as if their intent is to deceive. But let me show you something. If you want to know the percentage increase, not simple math that, right? At least arithmetic. You take away the 208.19 billion that it is expected to grow to from, you take away the 188.35 billion from the 208, the new figure, and you get the difference. And then you compare, to get the percentage increase, you compare it to your original figure, which max out to be about 10.5, yeah, 10.5%. Now, if we look at the project growth up to 2030, we are told predictively that this same organic market is expected 564.22 billion by 2030. That's at least a 13 point something % increase per annum. Is Jamaica positioned and poised to benefit any fraction of that 564 billion US dollars starting from 2023 to 2030? When I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that you need to think when you're voting and consider the solutions that the UIC is offering, I'll leave it at that. It's up to you to think. Point number 7, eliminate poverty with workforce program that provide every Jamaican a job. Let me run quickly to 8, because I love 8. We will get rid of the Queen as Jamaica's head of state, represented by a GG, a Governor General who don't serve no purpose. Let me inform you, no purpose. Do not be tricked and fooled by the fabricated act that the government is proposing to form a republic. If a republic is formed 1 year after this, ladies and gentlemen, and your life and your liberty is not protected, and you don't feel a sense of achievement and freedom and dignity as a transition from the old Jamaica that you used to exist in, That is a fallacy. Let me say it again. Do not allow them to trick you with the fabricated transition of their version of a republic. UIC will establish a constitutional republic of Jamaica that will guarantee your individual rights as a sovereign citizen of your own country. Let them match that. I would love if they can match it. It's a challenge to them. Tell them to get rid of your colonial constitution and give you a constitution that guarantees your rights. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm not a lawyer, so let me put that disclaimer, you know, because they have some political technicality. No, I'm not a lawyer. I'm educated as an engineer, and I'm educated as a professional trainer and educator, and I'm educated as a project manager. Those are my areas of expertise, experience, and qualifications. But let me say this to you. It would appear to me that some members of parliament and politicians have more rights in law protecting them than you, the ordinary citizen. That is what we need to address. Give Jamaicans the rights they deserve. Moving on to point 9. We, the Jamaican people, shall investigate, prosecute, and convict all politicians and their associates, dead or alive. Moving on to point 9. We, the Jamaican people, shall investigate, prosecute, and convict all politicians and their associates, dead or alive. We, the Jamaican people, shall investigate, and convict all politicians and their associates who were involved in the final one. We will eliminate property tax. In fact, we will only require of the Jamaican people 10% income and 10% corporate tax, along no property tax. So here is what you should look forward to, ladies and gentlemen, and ask yourself the question: if we as a government under the UIC will be able to run this country with 10% income and 10% consumption tax, and the previous governments were not able to run this place, this little Jamaica, to make it worse than Barbados, if we are able to do better, then you know, must do some deep investigation to find out what went so wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, these are our 10-point plans, and I want to thank you for listening. Hello again, and thanks for watching the presentation. My newly released book is now available on Amazon in KDP and print formats. Otherwise, you may contact me at 876-878-3677 for local purchase. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our panel discussions. This evening, we'll be looking on discussing the capture of the essence of a new Jamaica for the future. Now, my fellow Uniters, I'm so excited about this opportunity. You know why? Because I want us to share our independent yet collective thoughts on what we believe it really means to move forward based on the principles that are outlined in the UIC's mission and vision and 10-point plan. We want to use that as a basis for putting the discussion in our own words of what it means to us to see a successful Jamaica, a better Jamaica for the future. So please let us start, and we're going to start by introducing ourselves, starting with the ladies. We expect Sir Ken Solomon to join us later on in the presentation. So could you just each introduce yourself for me? Thanks.
Yes, my name is Sayuda.
The final one. We will in fact, we will only require up to 10% income and 10% tax along with no income. So here is what you should look forward to in terms of and ask yourself the question. If yes,
And I'm from
discussion, question to all of us tonight. I would like to ask each member of the panel in words, in say 2 or 3 sentences, to tell us what will the new Jamaica look like for you? What will the new Jamaica look like for you? And this is assuming that the UIC becomes the next elected government of Jamaica. What will the new Jamaica look like for you? 10% income and 10% consumption tax.
well, the new Jamaica would look, as per me, that we would have better roads, Afrocentric education
right
on every level, as well as solving crime and violence.
Oh, so I think that's Sayuda, right? You're saying that for you, the new Jamaica would have better roads, better opportunities for educating our people, and a solution to crime and violence, right? Anyone else? Well, in the meantime, when our other panel members are thinking about it, a better Jamaica for me is a Jamaica firstly where the minds of the people are living. And that means not just for problems. So a new Jamaica for me is a redefined Jamaica in which we have quality leadership, quality political leadership, the raising an improvement in the level of the thinking of Jamaican people. Anyone else?
All right, so I am sure in addition to all of what was said, a new Jamaica for me would be one where we have freedom, with freedom of speech, movement, bodily autonomy. There's mutual respect, social order, and economic stability.
But I would like to ask you a question, a quick follow-up question, because I noticed you say freedom of speech. Do you have any reference as to how freedom of speech may be restricted in Jamaica currently?
I think on 2 occasions in recent history. One, when this young man used some expletives to describe the Prime Minister, he was quickly found, and I think he may have been locked up. I know he was charged. And you also have Pastor Peter Chambers, was just mentioning his vision, and he was locked away as well.
Yeah, and it begs the question, beg a minute, it begs the, and because this one is very stimulating, very interesting, it begs the question that if the security forces were so, and the system was so efficient at finding these gentlemen, how is it that the system is not efficient at finding these criminals who are robbing, killing, and raping people? How is it that these men were able to be found so quickly, and yet we're not able to bring the criminals to books? These are questions and thinking that the Jamaican people need to rise and ask, don't you think? But you know, to keep protocol, let me just stick to go on to the next question. I want you to think about that as we have this panel discussion. Of the things that were mentioned, you know, between those of us who mentioned, and we just describe how the new Jamaica would look. Which of the things that either of us mentioned is most important to you personally to see? Meaning that with all the change, and you wanted one change to manifest more than any other, which one would that be for either of us? Please.
I don't know if I'll get for coming there, but Jamaica, where we all look forward and where we work to seeing, is that Jamaica where life is respected, classism is flushed out into the, you know, where it belongs, the toilet, and we can have a culture where life is respected. A Jamaica we not have blood drinking as a way of life, you know. Music can be something helpful and inspiring and uplift you when you listen to it. Not the thing now that they introduce on some people as music and normality. A Jamaica where females can trot safely wherever they go, you know. Yeah.
Understood. In summary, what of those factors that you mentioned, that you just described, would be the most important to you personally?
All right. So a society where no rape no go on, and a society where classes get born.
Right. So it seems, and you might ask why. I believe that every man, every human being, every boy, every girl ought to be respected by virtue of the fact that they are human beings. So we may have assistants and their roles and responsibilities. However, you can only respect the president and the CEO, but somehow you can't respect the janitor. I find something absolutely wrong with that. It means that the measure of your respect doesn't amount to a respectable person, in my opinion. So whereas I understand the concept where respect is to be earned, I believe more forward-thinking, more progressive is that respect should be given to each and every person based on the fact that they are human beings. Do we agree?
Yes, I.
Indeed.
All right. So interestingly, because we respect the opinions of the persons in the streets, and the UIC is a government that will respect the opinion of the people we represent, we will not discard their opinions and resort somehow to the opinions of some powers that be external to Jamaica. We will not have that in Jamaica. Let me ask a question. Interestingly, when we go out into the streets and into the towns and cities and we interact with people concerning the UIC, many of them feel that the challenges, the formidable challenges that we will face when we become a government, they feel, I'm admitting Solomon now as he joins us, they feel, ladies and gentlemen, that these challenges will not be overcome. They think that the challenges are too formidable for us. In fact, there are some people who believe somehow that's only the JLP and PNP can govern Jamaica. You know, when you drill down into the diarrhea foolishness, some people who say they are diarrhea, we find that part of the reason why they think this way is because they think somehow that the lethargy and the slackness and the waste with which these governments have run Jamaica over these several years and even currently is only them alone can lead Jamaica. Let me ask you the question. I'm hearing a feedback. Do you agree or disagree that the challenges, the most formidable challenges, are too big for us to find solutions to? What do you say?
The die-hearted poor, they are not totally aware of how the system is set. And so they are going to go based off things that they know on the forefront. Bear in mind that some people don't take the time out to do their research on where and how far Jamaica is coming from. They do not understand.
And Sayuda, let me tell you one of the reasons for that. We have a tendency to tend towards ignorance. In fact, you know that among the young people is a stupid and senseless statement about being fully dunce and some other stupid rhetoric like that. Now, we don't want to isolate the young people, but we want to tell them that, for example, as a society, if we continue to hate reading and we continue to shun knowledge, for lack of knowledge, our people perish. So one of the things that we'd have a formidable challenge to do is to raise the standard and the thinking of our Jamaican people to a higher level, where they begin to respect themselves more, where they begin to expect better quality leadership from our politicians. But let me ask you a question though. What do you believe is the #1 greatest challenge that Jamaicans and the UIC supporters, well-thinking Jamaicans, will need to
because we have these poverty, because we have young men who stop who is not attending school at a tender age. And that one of the reasons is because of lack of funds, lack of cash. So what happened from the very top and communication that is happening in between from the person from the top and in between, they commerce amongst themselves. And some of these households, they put their children out there before they even wanted to be out there. So now they are forced to do things that they don't really want to do. And then they desensitize these young men and women for what is right. And so things lead, things lead to a very dark place, you know.
All right. So Sayuda, I get your point and I get where you're going. But some persons will argue, and rightly so, that based on studied evidence, poverty is not an excuse for the prevalence of crime. And I tell you why I tend to agree with them to some extent. In my own experience, I was a little maga boy that grew up. I used to clean floor with my mother and sell in the Spanish Town market. And I knew, as I wrote in my book, Untamed Passions of an Enigmatic Jamaican Man, whereas some people who were poor claim that they were not aware of it. As a child, from early out, I was aware that we were dirt poor. I can remember using a pit latrine toilet, and I can remember using a broken down bathroom, such that when the little young girls like myself from across the fence used to peep on me, they went out into the public square and said, all I know. They used to call me Ashley at the time. Ashley, big no L, I can't say the rest of it here. But you know, the point I'm making is that there are two sets of poor youth. One that grew up in the poverty and still make something of themselves, and the other that choose. So I think it's a matter of choice, not necessarily a matter of poverty in and of itself. We are poor people, and a lot of us have lifted ourselves and taken ourselves, at least to some extent, out of that poverty. And if we had government that catered to our betterment, that look out for our interests and not just theirs and their family and their cronies, things would have been better for more of us. I submit to that. But let me run on the expression of time.
And just to add to what you have said, if poverty was such a main contributor to crime, Jamaica would be worse off because the majority of us are poor anyway. So
yes, I agree with you. I agree with you to some extent, even though I understand what Sayuda was saying, right?
Yeah, man, I do.
Right.
We can get a little piece.
Let me just summarize this part, and because we have another question that we want to rush into very anxiously. Now, imagine, members of the panel, that someone listening to us tonight, someone listening to us this evening, and they genuinely want to grasp an understanding of why you are so convinced that the UIC can be the catalyst for change in Jamaica. Take a moment or two for us and speak to the hearts and minds of such an individual about why you are so convinced that the UIC is the political catalyst for change in Jamaica today. Tell us.
Ken, just mute your mic, please. There's a lot of distortion coming in from your mic.
Yeah, thank you, Babatuli. I was just about to mention it.
Respect. All right. So I think the females would go first and then I forward.
Okay, I'll go.
Yeah.
All right. So the question was why we believe that the UIC, did I get it right?
Yeah, man. Why we believe that the UIC is a solution for Jamaica? Why do we believe that? When I say catalyst, it's like a burst of change, a transformation, and the UIC is the stimulating effect for that. So why do you, Sayuda, believe that the UIC, you're convinced that the UIC is that catalyst for change?
Well, your terminology says it all. Change. if you don't change or remove yourself from something that you are always doing and you're still seeing the same thing, still going on with the lies, still going on with the blind eye, still telling lies that you hear the people, but you're not doing anything, only changing the strategy, but the outcome is the same, there's not going to be a change. Now,
I
if a
see.
party comes and you are saying something,
No. I'm saying I see your point.
right. No, you have another organization. It's gonna come across as, like gibberish. Another party to the Jamaicans right now is like we're talking gibberish. They're not totally, happy that there is something new, but at the same time there is something great, that is great that can come from something new. And so, because we have different strategies, different platforms in which how we would go about and, sending out our information, as well as not only having a strategy, but an engineering strategy. So something is already being put in place only if the Jamaicans, with their power, turn to something that is a change to see something
I
else
understand.
in the
Thank you very much, Sayuda. And I hear you loud and clear. You are saying that the catalyst exists. There's evidence of its quality, but the pivotal ingredient into the chemical reaction, if we can coin it that way from a physical science perspective, is for the Jamaican people to realize that they are the ones that need to apply the temperature, turn up the heat, and make a change. And I agree with you 100%. If we allow ourselves to be deceived and to continue along the path that we're on, Jamaica will see no dramatic improvement. However, even if we want to call it an experiment and take a calculated risk and try that which is new and that which is based on a sound premise, Jamaica is poised for that change that all of us want to see. Is there anybody else who can quickly share with us in a summary format?
Just quickly for me, the UIC is a movement that promotes the transformation of our thoughts so that we can be analytical individuals.
Right.
You will realize, many people may realize that we are in mental slavery. We're still held mentally captive. So the UIC wants us to think, right? Secondly, the UIC already has manifestos in place. The other parties, they just cook up something, as we would say, when it's close to election time, and they can't fulfill whatever is there. We have plans, not tricks.
Exactly. Thank you. I'm sorry for cutting into what you're saying. I agree with you 100% though. We need to raise the level of our consciousness and thinking of the Jamaican populace. But one encouraging point I'll make though is that when you interact with persons out there are many persons in Jamaica that have similar thinking to us in the UIC. What we need them to do is to come forward and stand up and be counted among us, right? But let me ask you this question, members of the panel. Please share with me, among the 10-point plans, and notice we didn't say 10-point promises, 10-point suggestions. We say 10-point plan that the UIC has for Jamaica. Which one, just tell me, which one of all of the 10-point plan appeals most to us? Can we hear from Solomon, please, Mr. Ken Solomon? In the meantime, as he's coming on, yes, the rest of us, could you please tell us which of the 10-point plan appeals to you most?
The Crown Land.
You steal my one. I won't tell you your semi notes. Yes. And I just wanted to give the answer succinct at that. The Crown Land, sorry, that one touched me. That is the one, my friend, that appeals to me the most as well. I tell you, my bank manager have a piece of land and I'm coming under some pressure and I wanted to sell the land. You know, I see? And she tells me, don't sell the land. And you know, I changed my mind even though I'm under tremendous pressure and decided not to sell it. You know why? Land is power, ladies and gentlemen. These are the things we need to teach our youth. When you have land, you have wealth. And it's a wealth that does not decay, like a pretty car with them sometimes entice us to buy. Just that is enough for me now. Any other point that appeals to anyone else on the panel? The point that appeals to you most, the 1 point.
All right. I know you say 1 point, but when I study this 10 point, yeah, all of it forms a great component of us advancing to a better Jamaica.
Absolutely, Mama, but can you pick out one that appeals to you the most? Are you able to?
I'll mention one.
Yes.
And that's point number 8, because I think if that one where it says get rid of the Queen, the Governor General, the colonial constitution, and to become a truly independent, non-partisan constitutional republic, never again should we have a dictator as leader. If that is accomplished, then we'll have crown lands, we'll have better living conditions. So I think that
beautiful. And it is coinciding, if you notice, with what Babatunde just said, because they are intertwined and they are interconnected, and all of them are designed to hand us our piece of the pie. You hear the man say, want our piece of the pie right here, right now? Jamaicans, you need to wake up and stop falling for, sorry panel members, I need to speak to the Jamaican people. We need to wake up and stop forming a fool of ourselves. You have some people, as I said before on the show with Jerry Small, Best FM, talking about they are dieted. And as I ask the question, dieted about what? What the hell are you dieted about? When you're still suffering, when you're still in need, when you can hardly send your children to school, when you're skipping over raw sewage in Spanish Town, dieted what? Do you think that is living? Well, let me give you an example, ladies and gentlemen. I went to the Netherlands, to a small town called Enschede, in a place like I said, Spanish town on the outskirts of, somebody's phone is a little bit feedback, on the outskirts of Kingston, for example. And if you ever see the infrastructure and the civil works in that town, the walkways are paved, the place where the bicycle ride is dedicated to them, and the place where the cars drive. Incidentally, the friend of my friend, the girl I was courting, said to me, Donovan, why are you marveling? If you come to Africa, you'll see roads better than this. So even Africa, that they're tricking you and telling you that we have bad roads. Let the Prime Minister of Jamaica go and compare Jamaica to Rwanda, and he'll be ashamed if you have the shame. You know why? Because Rwanda, even though they face genocide as a result of the Hutus and the Tutsis being divided by the Belgium people, Rwanda today is better than Jamaica. Why have I gone so far? I'm running out of time.
Hold it, Donovan.
Hold on.
Ken, your microphone.
Yes?
Your microphone is disturbed, Ken.
Oh, what about little Barbados? What about Barbados? Small Barbados being better than Jamaica? Aren't we ashamed of ourselves? No, not the people of Jamaica, the so-called leaders of this nation. Aren't you ashamed that Barbados dollars is better than yours? We should be ashamed of ourselves. Anyway, let me wrap up. Ladies and gentlemen, in the interest of time and the interest of substance, we need to galvanize our efforts, ladies and gentlemen, and vote out these people who are wasting our hard blood, sweat, and tears. Now imagine, general election is called. We need to do it fast, ladies and gentlemen. 3 to 5 years into the future. I want each panel member, at least 1 or 2, tell me, describe something that would be a disappointment for you. The UIC wins and we become victorious and we're jubilant, but 2 to 3 years after that, something did not happen. What would it be that would disappoint you? Quickly.
Before we go there, I would like to interject in something here because I'm pretty little late, and I would like to quickly say something in terms of what you said earlier about the appealing of the 10-point plan.
Yes.
I I was looking at two particular thing, number 1 and number 7, because we say number 7, eliminating poverty with a workfare program that provides every Jamaican a job, and I think to provide a job for every single Jamaican, that would be a thumbs up, and that will be able to assist even in the war on crime. It even relates to number 1, a youth empowerment solution, because the youth of today is the man and woman of tomorrow.
Right.
A youth empowerment solution is that, yes, to ensure every high school graduate. It almost suggested the same, you know.
Yes, it does. Let me
Yes,
just,
yes.
Solomon, sorry. I know I'm watching the time and we are right on the brink of time. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we had a fruitful, healthy discussion. I wanted to see if we could point that last point, but maybe in the interest of the time we are running out of, we'll have to bring up this discussion again. I want to make one last appeal to us and the Jamaican people. It is time we get up and stand up for our rights. It's time we stop fooling around with persons and politicians who don't seem to care one damn about our progress, the progress of our children and our good. We need to get up and redefine what it needs to have a successful and a wonderful Jamaica. You have 10 seconds. Anybody want to make a point very quickly before we run out of time?
Okay, just to go back to the last question that you posed, I would be very disappointed if the UIC is plumped into the level of corruption that these current scoundrels, you know, well, they just go about it with no care. They have no integrity at all. So I would be disappointed if the UIC becomes corrupt.
Thank you, Mrs. Babatunde. And even we're running out of time, it tempts me to ask some of these names that were called up in corruption cases. You know that it's only in Jamaica people get away with certain things. What is the issue with some of these cases? Did you know that in the 1960s, we got money, whether borrow or grant, to build high school, which is why you have the common entrance concept, turn to GSAT and reform into PEP. And you know that these schools weren't built. You know what happened to the money? It landed in the pockets of some thieving politician that stole our taxpayers' money. And we have, if it was a loan, we have to be paying back for that up to now. Jamaican people, what caliber of people are we? Are we going to sit and allow this to happen for the next 5-10 years? These are the things that we need to address. And in order to address it, we need to get rid of these two set of party and vote for a party that represents quality, integrity, and positive change. I want to thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for being a part of the panel discussion this evening.
God bless you. God bless you.
Same to you, sir.
Yeah, most welcome.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm going to end now.
UIC, one Jamaica, stronger together. Left for the stuff now, Babatunde.
Cool.
Cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry about that. I realized that I was just now muted. Now, I was just saying thank you for listening, and also saying I hope you enjoyed the content, and I hope you Well, from the comments that I'm seeing, I could see that the panel discussions went very well, and we are happy to be able to share with you. You know, as an educator, ladies and gentlemen, it's my purpose, my innate need to talk to the Jamaican people and to edify, to educate us, and to expose us to a different level of thinking, to raise our consciousness to the issues. I dare say to us that if some of the things, the atrocities, the wickedness that our leaders commit upon us were to take place in other places of the world, I don't want to describe what would be their lot, because I'm not a lawyer, but I read and I'm aware. I will not give them any inch to use anything against us or against me. But it's time that we wake up, ladies and gentlemen. I just think that I should tell you, talk to you, even as I did in the presentation. It's time for Jamaican people to wake up out of our slumber and stop tolerating the foolishness and the slackness that we are tolerating. And it starts with our vote. When the time comes, we're not campaigning yet. They don't see campaign yet, right? Because our message, the message of the UIC is such a powerful message that we don't need to use the dirt campaign to get our message across. That's not necessary, because what we represent in the UIC is a higher standard. Anyway, I just want to mention some of the comments before you ask your questions. Tree Chicken says Jamaica needs to have the death penalty, but I noticed that Brenton Gordon disagreed, saying that it would not necessarily provide the solution as we expect. In the question early in my presentation, I asked one question that described your view of the vision in the future. We get some very beautiful comments here. I want to share. I think it's Brent Gordon. He said, I would love that Jamaica. Tracy Blake said, you are very correct. Equal rights for all. Oh, in the comments related to equal rights. Let me just run through them quickly. Now, Donnery King, on the matter of a new Jamaica, said everybody will have the chance to achieve their goals and dreams. Oh, her vision of the new Jamaica is a Jamaica where everyone will have a chance to achieve their goals and dreams. Is it Nezuk? I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right, but the last name is Komoda, I think. We will need to come together and gather the people and tell them the truth about what we are doing to bring Jamaica forward, to building Jamaica. And I agree 100%. And Igneous said the Jamaica system needs to be revised and changed. And that's why we are here. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here for positive change. There's a comment that somebody made. I'll go to it later to highlight who the person is. But the beautiful comment that the person made is one that I want to take the opportunity to comment on. The comment was, we need to set up, or we need to distribute posters and flyers or stickers on taxis and buses. It's a great idea, and it's not the first it is coming up. So we're definitely going to explore. But then another comment that I also want to highlight is the message that one of our audience members said. So we need to go on the road. And it seemed what you have insights into our meetings, or you're a member of the UIC, because that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to be going on the road into every parish across Jamaica, going into the major towns and cities, and bringing the message about what the United Independence Congress represents. But ladies and gentlemen, in order for us to do this effectively, guess what? We need money. And we are not supported by the private sector organization of Jamaica, the big businesses. And unfortunately also, we don't get any such sponsorship. And that is why we have to explain to some persons that we care about people's needs. right? And we will perhaps look at particular needs that people have and try to meet the needs of people who are really needing help. But we're not into handouts. We're not into handouts. What we are at that infantile stage in the organization where we need to grow the organization. We need to get the message about the UIC out there so that Jamaicans can consciously make a sensible decision about voting for the UIC and liberating this country from the shackles that our so-called leaders have subjected us to. In order to do this, ladies and gentlemen, guess what? We need the financial support. For example, we have some events to go around in different parishes. And for example, in terms of mobilizing and in terms of getting ourselves on the road and so on, it costs. And so we have asked for a minimal of $25 US. 1,000, if 1,000 donors can give us $25 US, that's 25,000 US, right? Help me do the maths. Translated, that comes to what, $3.8 million. Now, don't be, if you're away from Jamaica for a long time, don't be frightened by the term million. Jamaica money not value nothing. I can tell you that. That's a part of the reason why we are here. The value of let me correct that. That is part of the reason why I, Donovan A. Moore, sits here with you tonight. Because I take the facts, I look at them and I see, no. Something is absolutely wrong with this country and we need to fix it. You think it's not exposing for some of us to come up front to be at the helm of the leadership? It is risky. It is exposing. It's not an easy road, right? But the fact of the matter is that we have to be sacrificial. And so, whilst we are upfront sacrificially, putting ourselves out there, just like Sir Patterson did when he was arrested, right? And he has to be going through an elongated legal process even now. Some of us, and I wish it to God it was all of us, we need to put ourselves out there. So here what I say. We are asking our supporters, our fellow Jamaicans in the diaspora to please assist us. Because you know what I realized? I had some family, they live in Chudley, and I'm from St. Elizabeth, by the way. And some of my family came back down. And one of my biggest concerns was them coming back because they probably look like them rich, hardworking people, blood, sweat, and tears. And some persons would want to probably end up robbing them or something. We have to change Jamaica, ladies and gentlemen. We're not going to sit and allow things to happen like this. But in order to do this, we need your support. That's why I'm appealing to you. Even if I don't go through all of the comments, which I want to desperately, I have to appeal to us that the way that we can move forward is with your tangible support, right? We like the support, we like the comments, we like the calls. We get a lot of that, and I really appreciate it, but we also want that tangible tangible support so that we can bring the movement forward in an effective manner, right? I want you to think, two things I want people to think about. Everybody here, decide that you're going to support the UIC at the appropriate time by putting the X at the right place. That handshake, you see that united handshake? That's where you must support. In addition, to help us get there, we want our donors in Jamaica and internationally, and wherever you are listening to me right now, to pledge in your heart. We say $25, but we know that some persons, have different capacities. So we are expecting and we're begging that you come forward and let us move this place called Jamaica to a much higher level. It is because of the quality and integrity of the leadership that I observe. I have a master's in business administration, in addition to my first degrees, technical and otherwise. And one of the things that I notice is the quality of the organization we have. If it wasn't quality, I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I wouldn't support it. But because of the quality that I notice, I am telling you, I can tell you with confidence that you can support the UIC and be assured that you will see the result of your investment. Because that is what it is. It's an investment in our future. But let us go back to some of the comments. I want to welcome our General Secretary, Mr. Chase Neil. Welcome, sir. Any comments? Any shout outs? Anything you want to add to? It's just the two of us online now.
I think our treasurer is still here.
Right. Oh yes.
Yep.
Welcome, Naika. I'm not sure. Sayuda is still here with us or she has left? Not sure. Well, let me just. Oh, sir, go ahead, please, Sir Neil.
All right, thank you, Donovan. Good night to everyone, wherever you are in the world. Greetings to you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you on my side.
All right, great. So I'd like to thank all the supporters, all the persons watching and commenting. I see that we are very engaged and people are ready for the change. I'd like to comment on some of these suggestions in the chat box. For example, there was a comment on the death penalty. You had said something about it, Donovan, but I'd like to say some more about it. Did a live video last Friday on how to reduce violence among youth, and we spoke about the death penalty. There is no evidence at all that the death penalty reduces crime and violence. What it does is increase the depth to which people will hide their crime. So people will get more creative in being secretive and escaping the penalty, but it does not in any way diminish the amount of violence. Also, we have to look at the fact that you cannot take back the death penalty, and there is no pure justice system. As long as human beings make up the system, there's always room for error, and we may end up killing the wrong person. There are many times that evidence does point towards something, but then with time we see that although it looks so, it never goes so. Also, in that live, we did show some alternatives and the causes for some of these deviances. If we kill out all the criminals and we don't do anything to address the situation that creates these criminals, then we achieve nothing. So when it comes to the death penalty and life imprisonment, what we really want to look at is minimizing all the social factors that create these criminals. We had said in the live again, reducing violence among youth, that the two things stand out according to sociologists what that create crime. People not being connected to society, youth not having any family or community not being involved. The UIC 10-point plan and the education plan, the crime response, all of these work to create a more closely knitted society that helps the youth and all members of society to be closely linked to each other, because evidence shows that when people have connections, social connections, when people have a role to play in society, then the likelihood of them being involved in crime and violence is greatly reduced. We also have to bear in mind that whenever people cannot access legitimate means to progress themselves, then the illegal way becomes more attractive. Because if you study, go to university, uh, in economy, where things are, then at the end of university, you find that you can barely live. Then that doesn't make any sense. But if you call a couple of old people and make millions of dollars, why not? No, that is the thought process.
Yeah.
It is hard, if not impossible, for the majority of people to make it successful in life by living by the rules.
In Jamaica.
But if they in Jamaica, yes,
Yeah.
we're talking about the Jamaican situation. But if they break the rules, it is they are more able to provide for themselves, and that is the
Choppy
stark
line.
reality.
Choppy line.
No, yeah, that's choppy line. There are no. If people don't have that foundation though, that we to satisfy, in old time Jamaica, grandfather will teach you if you can't afford it, just satisfy. We see a breakdown in the family nowadays. So what we need to do is rescue and rebuild the family, and the
Yeah.
education plan does speak to that. So youth will have this moral background, so that although they don't see the access to achieve, they will be guided by a better morality, so that they are less tempted to chop a line and destroy other person's lives to improve their own. So the UIC will work to create a better Jamaica, that every individual mindset will be improved. But more than that, we will provide the ways through which people can improve their lives by improving the economy, improving financial education, stimulating creativity, so that people who leave school will be able to problems depend on the government or a corporation to give them their means of livelihood. And for the adults who have already passed through schools, then we have the digital library where they can be able to access the curriculum that's being taught in schools and so teach themselves. So I, there are a number of links in the description to this live broadcast. You can view the education plan. We just went through the 10-point plan, but you can view it for yourselves. There is the epidemic response. When you view those, you will see what we bring to the table. For Shop Boss's suggestion that we go and print stickers and so forth. Donovan already spoke to it, but remember that UIC is funded by the people. UIC is funded by members. We don't get the big money from the corporations like the other two traditional parties do. So suffice it to say that we do not have the funding currently to all that we want to do. So by liking this video, by subscribing, by sharing it to others on all social media platforms, you make it more possible for persons to see and know what we're about and to donate. For the question, somebody asked a question about donation. It is in the link here. Donate to the UIC. Click on that link and it will lead you right to our page where you will be able to donate. Also, you can just go straight to uicjamaica.com and you hit the tab donate UIC and it shows you the different ways you can donate through Scotiabank, wireless transfer, and so forth. You can donate through PayPal. Just check that website and it will show you the different ways to donate. And again, as Lion rule the jungle without fear, keep saying, and we endorse it. Like and share the live, please. All right, thank you, Donald.
Yeah, man. There's a interesting question here, Sir Chase. It says, how do you feel about Jamaican hotel workers making $1 per hour? You want to take it, or should I take a shot at it and you back me up?
Yeah,
it's Go ahead. Go ahead.
That is a thing that grieves me.
Yeah.
It especially grieves me, and I was actually speaking about that issue today and yesterday too. Many people may not know, but Jamaica is the third most popular, the third most visited tourist destination in the Americas. So that means Canada, USA, and the entire Caribbean. Yes. If it is that we are the third most popular tourist destination, then our people should be benefiting from that. But as it stands, the dollars from tourism do not benefit the Jamaican people. And that's the sad case. And for example, I spoke to this already, that St. Anne is currently the poorest parish in Jamaica. Look it up, everyone, if you don't believe me. St. Anne is the poorest parish. Wow. And St. Anne has
Really?
made a report. Google it. Guys, for the last 14 or more years, St. Anne has been the poorest parish in Jamaica. Yet St. Anne has some of the most resorts in Jamaica. Ocho Discovery Bay, Runaway Bay are tourist resort destinations. What is happening? The tourist dollars that come in go into the private investors' pocket. It does not go to the parishioners in St. Anne. And so even the hotel workers, they don't really reap anything out of it except this meager salary. They are benefiting from the resources in Jamaica. And all of this money is going to foreign investors who are capitalizing on our bees, our infrastructure, and our culture.
In fact, you notice that gradually we are losing access to beaches. So there is a differential apparently which says facilitated by how our governments operate. That you and I as Jamaicans, unless we are in the billions dollars category, unless we're at a certain economic level, you and I are not entitled to go and relax on the natural beaches that we have. So it apparently foreigners, and we're not saying that the tourists shouldn't come here and enjoy it, but it's quite apparent that the ordinary Jamaicans no longer have access to their own natural sweetness and resources that is available to us. Something is absolutely wrong with that, ladies and gentlemen. You have a government that does not value you enough for to retain access. So I'm not against development, because personally for me, I believe in progress and development, whatever that entails, but not at the expense of the comfort and the benefit of the Jamaican people. Not at our expense. We cannot have so-called development that does not redound to the benefit of the people. Sorry, Sir Neil. You matured your comments. I wanted to highlight. Lion said, "No more crumbs. We want our slice. No more crumbs." And I agree with him. We want our piece of the pie right here, right now. And I tell you something though. If you truly want your piece of the pie, nobody's going to hand it to you on a silver platter. That's not how it works. I'm sorry, but even if them are dig out your ear and you're hungry, let me tell you something what I've realized. I did economics in many of my studies, even to the master's level, but I didn't do it as a separate area. But one thing I realized is that the Jamaican economy, what is keeping us afloat? You think is the tourism? What percentage of the tourism dollar is retained here? Not much. You know what I think is one of the main factors that keep us afloating? Some of the people in the diaspora right now that are listening to us. You see that remittance that comes to Jamaica. A lot of us as Jamaicans, may I tell you, my brothers and sisters abroad, you see, if we're never kind enough, we send some of that come give we don't have to circulate. Some of we don't have, a lot of us would have dead for hungry. That is the reality of the Jamaica that we face, right? So we are being propped up. And you see, because some people are floating and they are comfortable and they are doing well, it's like it doesn't matter to them. But to the majority of us and to many of us, a pure sufferation. Imagine in this 21st century, people don't have tap water in their house. Or do you believe? I mean, I worked in the electrical sector, power utility sector for 25 years, more than 25 years. And can you believe that there are some places in Jamaica that don't have electricity? No, just think about that, ladies and gentlemen. You think we are making up stories when we are telling you that Jamaica is really backward and that our leaders have failed us? You think a story we are make up? Think about it. Let me go back to the comments.
We have set laws like they do in Hawaii, where all locals have access to all the beaches. Interesting, right? Very good comment. But in Jamaica, that's not the case. In Jamaica, we are treated like second class and third class citizens in our own country. This cool guy said, love these panel members. Keep up the good work, y'all. Respect, my friend. We will endeavor to keep up the good works and to be dedicated to it. I'll try and go through another comments, to some other comments.
So
yes, go ahead.
Igneous say something that I experienced. How do you feel that Saudi Arabia is about to buy out the rest of the beaches to build more hotels? No, there is a public beach in Port Maria. I like to frequent
yes.
it. It is calm, peaceful. I go there to meditate from time to time. I've been told that the United Arab Emirates, yes, those Arabian countries are in the process now of buying that entire stretch of beach, and soon the public will be able to access it. So I don't like that very much, and we need to nip this in the bud. So Ignace Ishar, I hope I pronounce it properly. The only way I see Jamaica redeeming itself from this is to change the system of governance and the politicians that come with it, and put in a governance made up by Jamaican people, a governance that works for the Jamaican people.
Yes, we need to have a government that represents our interests and that seek to serve us first and foremost. Governments don't exist to send any agents of the state to abuse us. That's not the primary purpose of government. Government does not exist to tax us and collect tax and kill us with tax. That's not the purpose of government. Government exists to ensure that our rights and liberties are protected. To the extent, as I said in my presentation, where Issa and Mahfoud and whoever else does not have any more right than you and I, no matter who we are. That is what we need to understand, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if some of us want to sit in our die-hearted mentality and stick to the slackness that is going on, let them stay. The rest of us need to arise to the occasion and change the system for ourselves, our families, and our children to come. Talk about children's. Well, probably generationally, it's children and children for true. But the fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, think about it. If some of our forefathers, and I'm not saying some of them weren't bossy slave. You know, say I write in my book where somebody called me a bossy slave. And if I never respect that brother, I know we wouldn't be friends today. Somebody referred to me as a house nigger. Now imagine that there were some house niggers that sold out the people. Like we are here now, and you know what they do? They go behind your back and they sell you out. We can expect some of that, but we won't fear for that. We don't care about those who are fixated in their minds to be die-hearted. We are inviting them to change, to rise to a higher level of thinking and change, right? But if that's where they want to remain, the 63% of us who did not decide to vote in the last COVID-19 election, now we are inviting you. We are saying here is an opportunity for change. Do not allow our efforts and our standing up to go unanswered. We need to stand up united and change this country. Nobody is going to hand it to us. I hope you understand that. Somebody saying UIC. I wasn't going to take this, but I want to take it forward. UIC has watered down. I don't see the fiery, passionate team anymore. Pure talk and begging for one thing. UIC is a choice
but we are not convinced. Okay. Who is that? I don't even see this. Somebody who can see better than me see the name. Let me tell. How should I respond?
All right. Okay. All right. Donovan.
Yeah, respond to it because I may say the wrong thing, but let me say it. I am not. First of all, I'm not a beggar. I'm a professional, and I'm not here begging on my behalf. I'm here begging on the behalf of the Jamaican people through the UIC to have progress. So that's the first thing. And as it relates to passion, no, we need to talk, we need to communicate, and we need to make people know what it is that they need to do to raise their consciousness. This is not about empty talk, no fiery passion. But I will allow, I will allow searches to probably answer.
This person knows me because this person just said respond no chase. Okay. All right. So,
but is Delgado say real talk, Donovan. Thanks, Delgado. At least you're listening to what is being said. All right.
yeah,
let me see.
I was saying that Donovan.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was saying that I, as parish manager for St. Mary, I can speak for St. Mary and St. Mary candidates, right? These people, I respect them very much, being on the ground, give off their time, giving off their money, and so forth. What I don't see of them is them taking pictures and taking videos, and that may give the impression because they're not on social media and so forth. You might feel that nothing is being done. The flooding that went on in March, right? I had candidates on the ground arranging for people to get financial aid, right? Even now, candidates are out teaching youth how to use their hands to make money, beekeeping, soap making, and so forth. So they're out impacting their communities. So I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with all of them that they don't want to politicize what they're doing, because public relations is good. They are doing what they're doing, and some of them believe that politicizing what they're doing will make them like the other two parties. I understand that point of view, but at the same time, I disagree with the point of view, and people are welcome to do that. But the point is, they're out there working, and when we mobilize with our One Jamaica tour that was alluded to, you will see us out there working on your behalf.
Yes, and we have a plan. Let me answer the question from a positive standpoint. We being out there, we do have a plan that is now being put together, and you will soon see the UIC out there in our full forces. Now, again, part of us mobilizing to make this possible is going to be dependent, and let me beg again, yes, I'm going to beg, is going to be dependent on persons who support us and who understand the vision for the Jamaican people, and who want to see better for the Jamaican people. We are going to be dependent on you, along with our support, because I give the little of my money to, as well as my time and my expertise. The reason for me coming into the UIC is that I bring a certain level of training, education, and competence, not begging. But for the UIC, I ain't too proud to beg. When it comes on to begging for the betterment of this country, yes, call me a beggar now. I will beg. I want to show a positive comment. And Andrea Gupal said UIC is the movement to take Jamaica forward out of the corruption the PNP and JLP is mashing up the country with. Thank you, Andrea. That is what we intend to do. And let me put it this way to us. You will have persons that will not like what we are doing. Can you believe that? There are persons who would want the UIC to fail. Why do you think that is so? I'm going to sound rude, but listen to me carefully. If you're a pig, if you're like a pig, let me not say you're a pig. forgive me, if you're like a pig with your head down in the feeding pan, I can understand your blindness in not being able to see the truth. And as somebody, we're not religiously biased in the UIC, but there's a scripture which says, "Why should you cast your treasures to swines?" So if you're like a pig with your head down in the feeding pan, you will not see the reality. You'll not be able to appreciate it. For those persons whose heads are not down in the feeding pan, they will probably have a need to say, "I am suffering." Unfortunately, though, even for some of us that are suffering, because we're so locked to the idea that only the JLP and the PNP can run this country. You know what happened? We're under this stupor that, boy, nothing now gonna change and we can have no different party and all different kind of foolishness. The change for Jamaica will not come by the UIC being formed or operating. You know what the change will come from? Us as Jamaicans deciding that we are ready for a change. Let me put it another way. If you and I as Jamaicans get slack, corrupt leaders to run this country, it is partly our fault. We get what we want. You see, anytime you decide that you're tired of the foolishness, as Jamaicans, this country will change. I'll just give a hint. Sri Lanka. That's all I'll say. I say Sri Lanka. Anytime you decide, we collectively decide as Jamaicans that this country must improve, the country will improve. Anytime you're not ready for it, it's not going to happen.
I think I want to add something. We have become so used to the Westminster colonial style of government that we want to see you do a thing before we support you. But I want to show people that the greatness of the UIC is not just in the plans. It's not just the 10-point plan and the education plan, right? It is the system of governance. And there's no way that we can demonstrate the system of governance until we are there to govern. No, I want people to bear in mind how Jamaica is governed, you know, with the Prime Minister having so much power to do anything, and ministers of government having the power to just go in and take any money that they want, make any decision, and there's no checks and balances. No, the same video, the same life I alluded to, reducing violence among youth, would have described the UIC system of governance, right, with the national election of the president, who's being checked by county-based vice presidents, who are in turn checked by parish-based senators and so forth. There is no way under that system that the corruption that exists now can continue to exist. And once we get rid of that, with the over $1 billion that's lost annually, once we get rid of that, then we will see a greater quality of life in Jamaica just by the change of the system of governance. No,
yes,
we can go out and fix road and give people a thing. How I can talk rah, rah, rah. But we are presenting to you, we are presenting to Jamaicans a better system of governance. Right? We're not just talking about the plans and policies, you know, which are great on their own. We are talking about how the country will be run, and that alone will redeem 78 years of mismanagement. We don't even look at the steps that we're going to take in fulfilling the 10-point plan. We're just looking at how government will be run. And that alone should make people stop and ponder and say, wait, we need to get this in line. Yes. So Jones.
In fact, I realize, Sir Chase, what I realize, you see, is that you have a kind of commenter or thinkers in Jamaica. Well, I don't know if they're thinking, because it's apparent to me that instead of reading enough, instead of exposing oneself to further knowledge, instead of edifying oneself and to understand the pros and the cons of anything, they do a knee-jerk reaction and respond in a way which forgive me again for not being politically smooth, they demonstrate ignorance. Because how can you be criticizing something, anything, UIC or otherwise, without going deeply into understanding what the movement represents. For the person who has read and who has investigated and who is thinking critically, the kind of question that I would expect is, so you say that you will do X. I need to know further how you claim that you will do X, right? So if for example, we were to come here and make some empty, fallacious, unfoundational promise with something without any sense and substance, then that would be something else to blow a hole through. But if we have solid plans, if you're going to counter that, come to me with an argument that postulates your position and why you disagree. We have to raise our thinking to a next level, right, in order to solve the problem. Our children cannot inherit the same Jamaica that we have with one level. We need to raise the level of thinking above where it is right now to move the country forward. Okay. I see your message. All right, ladies and gentlemen. If there aren't any further questions, we have spent a long time. I don't know if I want to use a strong word, but Omar said only a traitor would reject UIC or the White Queen subjects who loyal pledge to her. That's an interesting comment. I don't want to add to it. I almost say I agree, but I didn't say it. Thank you so much for giving Jamaicans hope. We really want the UIC to take us out of this bondage. And my friend, is this a lady? Oh, I imagine she's Paula. Yeah, man, I imagine she's beautiful. I can't see her. We really want the UIC to take us out of this bondage. Let us get rid of these two parties. They don't need us no good. Again, Paula. I must, if I were to speak with honesty, I find it hard to disagree with you. That's how I'll put it. Allegiance to Jamaica, you should not be rejecting UIC. I gather that is also true, my friend. But I think we've spent a good night. I want to thank you for being here. If there are no further questions, yes, we have spent 2 hours, right? If there are no further questions, I want to thank you for joining us. We'll continue the thoughts. We'll continue the action. We'll continue in our efforts to move Jamaica forward. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm VP of Middlesex, and I plan to come to the 5 parishes to meet with you and all the other parishes as well, because we are one movement. But I intend to go closer to St. Anne, St. Mary, St. Catherine, Mandeville. Should I take St. Elizabeth too? Or no, so Clarendon. So I have Clarendon, Mandeville, Manchester, St. Catherine, St. Anne, St. Mary. I'm looking forward to meeting you all, and I want to thank you very much for joining us. Oh, for Kingston, yes, man, my friend Babatunde is one of our strong leaders in Kingston, and also Daniel Burke is our VP for Surrey. We're coming forward to support them on that side of Jamaica as well. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you very much. It was my pleasure to present to you and to have conversations with you as well. Let's keep united.
All right, thank you everyone. One Jamaica. See you next time.